war. And those are some of the headlines. This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, the War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman. Today, a special broadcast. We remember the pioneering comedian and civil rights activist Dick Gregory. He died on Saturday in Washington, D.C. at the age of 84. In the early 1960s, Dick Gregory became one of the most popular comedians in the country and paved the way for generations of African-American comedians from Bill Cosby and Richard Pryor to Chris Rock and Dave Chappelle. On Sunday, Chris Rock wrote on Instagram, quote, "We lost a king. There'll never be another. Read his books. Look him up. You won't be disappointed. Unfortunately, the America that produced Dick Gregory still exists," Chris Rock wrote. Dick Gregory was the first African-American comedian to sit on the couch of The Tonight Show, then hosted by Jack Paar. But as his popularity grew, so did his activism. He was jailed and beaten by Birmingham police for parading without a permit in 1963. He took a bullet in the knee while trying to calm a crowd during the Watts riots in 1965. That same year, he spoke at one of the first major teach-ins on the Vietnam War at University of California, Berkeley.
And this war, as far as the way that radical group will say, oh, they just holding this meeting because they want to duck the draft. They'll always think of little petty things to say. But I tell you one thing, I'm not against armies as long as it's the army that's going to come in after a tornado and help clean up. I'm not against an army if the type of army that's going to go around the world and distribute food to everyone. But I'd love to ask the boys in Washington, D.C., how a Negro can stand up and say he's nonviolent and white America loves that and gonna send me over to kill somebody? No, nonviolence to me means not that I'm not supposed to hit American white man. Nonviolence means to me that death might put me on its payroll, but I'll never put death on my payroll.
2 years later, in 1967, Dick Gregory ran for mayor of Chicago against the infamous Richard Daley. He was a close friend of Martin Luther King Jr., and in 1968, he ran for president against Richard Nixon.
I had already announced 18 months ago that I was a presidential candidate as a write-in because I feel that the two-party system is obsolete. The two-party system is so corrupt and immoral that it cannot solve the problems confronting the masses of the people in this country.
Dick Gregory, by his account, pulled an astonishing 1.5 million votes, but the official tally put him at 47,000 votes, and that was as a write-in candidate. During that campaign, Dick Gregory was arrested by U.S. Treasury agents for printing and distributing fake American currency with his own picture on the bills as campaign literature. He also became well known for his hunger strikes for justice. In 1967, he weighed more than 280 pounds and smoked and drank heavily. Then he began a public fast starting Thanksgiving Day to protest the war in Vietnam. 40 days later, he broke his fast with a hearty glass of fruit juice. He weighed 97 pounds. In the summer of 1968, he fasted for 45 days as a show of solidarity with Native Americans. The following summer, he did another 45 days of fast in protest of de facto segregation in the Chicago public schools. In 1970, Gregory went 81 days to bring attention to the narcotics problem in America. Beginning in 1971, he went nearly 3 years without solid food, again to protest the war. During that stretch, he ran 900 miles from Chicago to Washington, D.C. During the Iran hostage crisis, Dick Gregory traveled to Tehran in an effort to free the hostages, and he traveled to the north of Ireland to advise hunger-striking IRA prisoners. In his campaign against hunger, he traveled to Ethiopia more than 10 times. More recently, his face appeared in newspapers across the country for his community action approach to investigate allegations behind the CIA's connection with drugs in the African American community. He camped out in dealer-ridden public parks and rallied community leaders to shut down head shops. He protested at CIA headquarters and was arrested. Throughout his life, Dick Gregory has been a target of FBI and police surveillance, and he was virtually banned from the entertainment arena for his political activism. When we come back from break, we'll hear from Dick Gregory in his own words. Again, Dick Gregory died at the age of 84 in Washington, D.C. Stay with us. He died Saturday at the age of 84 in Washington, D.C. I spoke to Dick Gregory many times. We're going to go back, though, first to 2002, when we were in our Firehouse Studios in downtown Manhattan.
You know, when you think about what happened on September the 11th of last year, the number one problem confronting America, there's never another act of terrorism. If this country stays as frightened as it is, it cannot survive. I mean, I never understood what Roosevelt meant when he said nothing to fear but fear itself. I've been married 43 years, and the biggest problem I had with my wife, Lily, when I first got married, is scared. She couldn't handle debt. When we gonna pay Sears and Roebuck? You act like we got some money. We don't have no money. And when I gets me some money, Sears and Roebuck now my first priority. Well, look, Sears knew I wasn't gonna pay for that stuff when I got it. On the back of the application, they said, who's gonna pay for this? I said, your mama. About 2 weeks later, I walk in the house, and she's like losing her. They did it. What's wrong? They did it. Here it is. Final notice. I looked at it. Final notice. Thank God we won't be hearing from them no more. You know, you don't have to worry. Listen, I have a brother that's so worried. He called me the other day. He said, they're about to repossess my car. What must I do? Don't park in front of the house. It's just simple. Don't worry. And for those of you out there, those bill collectors, look, I don't know how many of you are aware of the fact that 60% of those bill collectors that call you, they are prison inmates. I mean, I had a triple serial killer call me the other day to embarrass me because I'm late paying Neiman Marcus. I said, punk, you come get the money. You leave the jail and come get the money. And then another thing you have to stop doing, stop having your children lie to the bill collectors. You go to the phone, tell them I'm not here. How are you going to tell a child to lie and then tell them one day, never lie to me? You know, you go to the phone, Dick, right here, this is Dick. And they don't know what to do. You see, they've been trained that you're going to say you're not there. And when you say you're there, they run back to the manual. What do you say when they say they're there? He comes back, this is not you. I said, boy, how old are you? 22 years old. Let me tell you something. I've been owing this company this money for 38 years. What makes you think you're going to collect it in your lifetime? And then when they can't intimidate you, then they bring the high echelon, PhDs, psychologists, psychiatrists, and the call goes like this. Hi there, guy. When can we expect a payment? Well, I'm not in control of your expectations. Matter of fact, you can expect a payment all the time. And so when you stop letting fear interrupt, fear. If you look at NBC, CBS, ABC, and the black community, black folks have looked at the news, and I know black folks that haven't even got nothing, got locks on their door. How you gonna take something? I got a cousin in Kansas City, Missouri. He had 27 locks on the door and ain't got nothing in the house. I said, boy, if somebody broke in here, they would leave something. And the house he lived in is so small, he stuck the key in the door one day and stabbed 12 people. They was in the backyard. Okay. So when you stop and think about, just think about this for a minute. I keep asking the black community, what do you mean by black on black crime? And that's why I tell white folks, you got to listen to black folks. Sometimes they be saying stuff that sound good, but they be talking about y'all. For instance, black on black crime. Ask anybody in black community, say, well, we tired of black folk killing black folks. Now, they didn't say they was tired of black folk killing. They said they tired of black folks killing black folks. Then who be left? It's a simple matter. If you go to China today, who do you think is killing Chinese in China? If you go to Italy tomorrow, who do you think killing Italians in Italy? You kill where you live. And if 98% of all white folks that was murdered in America last year was murdered by white folks, if they're not talking about white on white crime, why we want to talk about black on black crime? Like I said, you kill where you live. And to all you black folks out there that's worried about black on black crime, join the NAACP, the Urban League, PUSH, FCLC. Get out here with us and work to integrate this country. And I guarantee you, if I'm living in a white suburban neighborhood and my old lady make me mad enough to want to shoot somebody, I'm not going to jump in my car and drive all the way back to the ghetto and shoot you. Trust me. I mean, like I say, you kill where you live. But look at these stats. 98% of all homicides in America is caused by friends or relatives. And 96% of all homicides in America is caused from arguments, not breaking and entry. So we don't need more locks on our door. We need locks on our attitude. So when you look at fear, and you know, and I understand that because at the height of the civil rights movement, when I would go south, I mean, I was frightened. Thank God I went anyway. And at that time, I didn't understand that fear and God do not occupy the same space. And because of the non-fear that the King and that nonviolent movement have, I was able to lose mine. And so when you stop and think, I'm 70 years old. When I was a youngster, we celebrated Negro History Week. Now we celebrate Black Month. Now tell me that's not progress. Because wouldn't you know when they get ready to give us a month, it'd be that month with all them days missing. I didn't expect a 31 day. But I was like wiped out when they laid February on us, because most blacks that I know, not only do we not like February, we don't even understand it. I mean, what's a groundhog? I mean, February the 2nd of this year, I was in St. Louis. I'm doing this radio show. The white dude said, Brother Greg, today's Groundhog Day. What do you think happens if Groundhog sees a shadow? So I said, man, back up. I don't play that ground. And he got real hostile. What do you mean you don't play Groundhog? You anti-American, anti-social? I said, I didn't know you was going to feel that way. You feel that way about it? Ask me again. I'll play it. He said, today is Groundhog Day. What do you think will happen today if the groundhog sees his shadow? Boy. I said, 6 more weeks of winter, sir. But since we're going to play it, let's keep playing. Suppose that groundhog come out today and don't see his shadow, but see 5 black dudes. Do you know what that means? Oh, he got nervous. No. What does it mean? It means 6 more weeks of basketball, chump. And then we moved from February the 2nd to February the 14th, which is not just Valentine's Day, but Saint, huh? Saint. I mean, that's the only day on the calendar that's called Saint. You know how many people lie on that day? Or am I the only one when I was growing up that sent more than one card to more than one person that said the same thing? I love you, dear. Without you, I'd just soon be dead. Try that one twice. And you know, when you talk about blacks, the progress we made, let me just say this, never before in the history of this planet had anybody made the progress that African Americans have made in America, in spite of black folks and white folks being in a state of denial, lying to one another, not talking about it, but the progress. Now the next move is entrepreneurship, and I would say the black folks probably the fastest, most economical way to get into business. I would do black greeting cards. Now, I do not want to sit on this show and lead America to believe that Hallmark do not know how to make a greeting card. I don't think there's nobody on this planet can make a greeting card like Hallmark. But when you open it up and read it, they have never been able to capture that ghetto vibration. You read it. The crow dark sings as sweetly as the lark when neither are attended. I mean, do you love me or not? So we just need some greeting cards with some simple vibrations. I ain't gonna do it no more. Give me another chance, baby. I know what you're thinking, but she hit on me first. So when you stop and think about, you know, fear, and flying in to New York to be on this show and to say thank you for your efforts and your staff for what y'all do across the country, I had to go through some serious changes at the airport. I mean, I had some folks searching me yesterday that found something in my pocket I've been looking for 6 months. I mean, now, let me just say this here. If you got any complaints about the airport, take that to white folks. I mean, the airport is 99.9% white folks. Now, any of y'all out there got a complaint about Greyhound, bring it to me. And what you white folks need to do is go to Greyhound and study us, and study Greyhound. We black folks would never tolerate at Greyhound what white folks tolerate at the airport. I mean, more white folks die from heart attacks at the airport than in the heart hospital. Why? Because they make white folks walk 12 blocks to the plane. Try that at Greyhound, bring that bus up to your toe. You think we would tolerate, and then the airline will lose your bag. Now something happened real interesting, and I just have to get with some white folks and let them explain that to me. You go to the airport, and the first thing they ask you, have these bags been with you all day? If you was a terrorist, would you say no? Did you pack them yourself? If you was a terrorist, would you say, no, I was just standing here and a stranger brought me these bags. I don't even know what's in it. And so, what's that about? And then, what was it, 3 weeks ago, big news all over the world. The United States government have just implemented a new law starting this Friday that everybody's bags have to go on the same plane with them. I thought my bags was always on the same plane with me. Matter of fact, when they lose my bag, they would act surprised. I mean, I'm standing there looking at that little circle go around and around and around, and they back there just laughing. And then all at once, when you find out your bag's not there, you go in, and this line is about 75 people long. You finally get there, and they act like you didn't have no bags. What's the description? And they give you this description, and that thing hasn't been updated since 1942. And so you sit there. Greyhound would never do that. First, when you get on the plane, you strap yourself in. They take off, they read the federal regulations, and give you the way.
I'm grateful to the Supreme Court for stepping in and solving this very, very big and complex problem, and they've made it very simple. I want to thank Justice Barrett, who wrote the opinion brilliantly, as well as Chief Justice Roberts, and Justices Alito, Gorsuch, Kavanaugh, and Thomas. Great people. Thanks for this decision, and thanks to this decision, we can now promptly file to proceed with numerous policies that have been wrongly enjoined on a nationwide basis. And some of the cases we're talking about would be ending birthright citizenship, which now comes to the fore. That was meant for the babies of slaves. It wasn't meant for people trying to scam the system and come into the country on a vacation. This was, in fact, it was the same date, the exact same date, the end of the Civil War. It was meant for the babies of slaves, and it's so clean and so obvious. But this lets us go there and finally win that case, because hundreds of thousands of people are pouring into our country under birthright citizenship, and it wasn't meant for that reason. It was meant for the babies of slaves. So thanks to this decision, we can now properly file to proceed with these numerous policies, and those that have been wrongly enjoined on a nationwide basis, including birthright citizenship, ending sanctuary city funding, suspending refugee resettlement, freezing unnecessary funding, stopping federal taxpayers from paying for transgender surgeries, and numerous other priorities of the American people. We have so many of them. I have a whole list. I'm not going to bore you, and I'm going to have Pam get up and say a few words, but there's really, she can talk as long as she wants, because this is a very important decision. This is a decision that covers a tremendous amount of territory. But I want to just thank again the Supreme Court for this ruling. It's a giant. It's a giant. And they should be very proud, and our country should be very proud of the Supreme Court today.
Long story short, what you're basically hearing is that the Supreme Court ruled in favor of Trump because Trump had basically signed an executive order that said that we needed to end birthright citizenship in the United States of America. And now, of course, I'm going to do some review videos of some misinformation and people crying about and all that, and so that'll be released later on today. But basically what has happened is that he did an executive order to basically kill birthright citizenship, because there were a lot of people that were coming in the country that were using this loophole to then get citizenship for their children. So, for example, the Asian community is huge, China in particular, for doing that. And that they were looking to get their children dual citizenship. So what they would do is they would come over here under the guise of just coming on vacation, but in reality, they were really trying to make sure that they had their babies here and they were pregnant. And so what they would do is they would come over to the country and then they would have their children here on American soil, and then they would take their children back to China, or when they would come back or whatever, their children would then be granted citizenship in the United States of America because they were born on American soil. Similarly, the same thing was happening when it came to children of illegal immigrants or undocumented immigrants that came over here in the United States of America. Parents would have children here in the United States of America, and that's why you see so many people on social media saying, yeah, my parents came over here undocumented, and they deserve to be here because they've been here for a long time. They never filed to get their papers. They never actually went through the immigration process. Some of them were actually committing additional crimes and so on and so forth. And so you had a bunch of people that weren't really from this culture talking negatively about the United States of America, while not at the same time adding value, and they feel entitled to be here because their parents illegally came here and they had children here in the United States of America, but those children are now granted citizenship because their parents, first generation parents, came over here to finesse the system in order to take advantage of it. The birthright citizenship was, let me blow this up a little bit. Birthright citizenship was for, as Trump indicated, descendants of slaves. So people that were sold over here into slavery, and once they then were freed, they had nowhere else to go. So instead of them being deported or sent back to wherever it is that they came from, none of these children had ever known anything except for the United States of America, because slavery had lasted hundreds of years inside the United States. So much so to where they were actually bred here at the slave owner's request. And let's be clear, there were black slave owners too, right? So when you think about the fact that none of these children or none of their parents even had the choice of whether or not they wanted to be inside the United States of America, and then their ancestors and generations before them, once those children were then free people inside of the United States of America, there needed to be a pathway to legal citizenship. And one of the ways in which they did that was birthright citizenship. It was meant for descendants of slaves. It was meant for the children of slaves. So now when you see all of these people arguing, including your favorite politician sitting there and saying, well, no, Trump is wrong. No, they shouldn't end birthright citizenship, is because they came over here on a program that wasn't meant for them and they felt entitled to it because they had been taking advantage of it for so long. But in reality, they didn't deserve it. It wasn't meant for them. And now, because we have no more people that need to be legal citizens as a result of being brought over here as slaves, right? Brought over here as your parents and grandparents and your parents before that were slaves, because we no longer have a need for that, it needs to be abolished. So when you see people that are complaining and saying, oh my God, I can't believe it, Trump, bad man orange, same old, like you always see it, basically you're seeing people speak either out of ignorance or they're voluntarily ignorant to the idea that this should have been going a long time ago and people needed to close this loophole, because you can't have people coming over here illegally, not even brought here illegally, but coming over illegally through their own will to finesse the system and then get legal citizenship for their children and then feel entitled to the same things that you should get without going through the legal process of becoming natural citizens. It's not right. And so Trump is closing the loophole. He's doing the thing that's right for America, and that empowers us to continue to make sure that we get people up out of here that's not supposed to be here in the first place. Let me know what y'all think inside in the comments. Make sure y'all tap into the Patreon link is in the description. Teach Henley, 40% off your first order, 20% off a 20% off a life. It is so awesome. Life is good. Life is awesome. Trump is